basic sounds and tips for calling ducks. You know, the quack obviously is the sound that all ducks make, and they make it all the time. When you're blowing into a duck call, you want to use your, hot air from your diaphragm. So if you've got to imagine going up to fog up a window, you're going, hot air from your chest. You don't want to be blowing where your cheeks are puffing out like you're blowing up a balloon. It's just that air presentation won't create the right sound. If you want to think of a reference word, the reference word I use in my mind is quit. So when I'm saying quit into the duck call, that's what makes that sound of quack. Just quit, quit, quit. And I'm using that hot air from my chest and using that reference word, and that word quit kind of starts the sound, and the T at the end is what helps shut that air off and give you that sharp quacking sound. As far as a routine goes in the field, when I'm working ducks, it's all depends on the situation. Obviously if I've got ducks way out 500 yards away, I'll give them a long drawn out, just something very exaggerated, something that probably a real duck that sound that a real duck doesn't really make. But the idea of that isn't that you were to sound like a real duck when ducks are that far away. It's just for them to hear a portion of that to get their attention, to hopefully give you a chance to where they can come over and start working your spread, and you can do more realistic sounds. As they get closer, that's when I'll switch over into going to a more realistic sound of just my, greeting quacks and cadences, maybe into a little feed chuckle or feed sounds, especially if you're working in a cornfield or a dry field setting. That setting is supposed to mimic ducks feeding and relaxing, and that sound, if you hear contest style sounds or that real fast rolling feed, that's really not a realistic sound. That sound's supposed to sound like a lot of ducks. But if you want to sound like just a couple ducks sitting on a field, it's very, very simple to make, and it's just a tick, 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 tuck, tuck, tick, 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 tick sound into the call. That simple sound right there is just ducks feeding and relaxing and enjoying what they're doing. So it's a very realistic sound that becomes very reassuring to the ducks that you're working.